Hello, welcome to this week's edition of the podcast for the working girl. And this week I'll be talking to you about something that has bothered me for a lot of the years of my working life. And it's about how to tell the stories of your successes at work. Raised by a typical African mom, modesty was literally rammed into our heads. They had a collection of adjectives for when you had too many I's in your vocabulary. Of course, we took this to work, which meant that our accomplishments were often waved off with a grin, or if someone doesn't help you amplify, then it went down the drain. I struggled. I sometimes still do. I struggled with, amplifying your work. I struggled with just telling your success stories. But I know, at least now I know what it takes. I'll be sharing with you 5 ways in which you can tell your own success stories at work without irritating others, or 5 ways in which you can tell your success stories at work without seemingly tooting your own horn. So first things first, I'm going to recommend that you tell the story from an outcomes or an impact perspective. Numbers are consistent truth tellers, so find the perfect window to use them. So I'll give you a quick example. So let's say a team is struggling to deliver on their targets and you're sitting in a meeting where this is being discussed. The conversation is going on and on and on. I feel like that's a window for you to butt in and say, I think my team and I may be able to help. Only last week we were 50% behind our budget. But we managed not just to show this up, but to surpass it by 20%. We applied a few strategies for which we'll be more than happy to share with Nutella and his team. We can connect immediately after the session to discuss this further. Now, 2 things have happened. Not only have you pitched yourself as helpful, but you have managed to tell the great story of your team's accomplishments. Now, here are 4 other guides. 1. Only take credit for your own accomplishments. Know when to use the I versus we, especially if you have done the work as a team or sometimes even as an individual who led the team. Remember that every audience has a discerning listener. Never embellish. Be generous with your praise for others. Sometimes it is much easier for your accomplishments to be brought up whilst being generous with your praise for another. Avoid like a plague the urge to be casual about your accomplishments. I used to be so guilty. I'll use funny words like, nah, it's nothing. And even worse, oh no, that was easy peasy. If you aren't amplifying the great work you're doing, please don't diminish it. Unsure of how to respond? A simple thank you will do. So when someone says to you, Nkiru, that was great work, you'll be like, oh, right, thank you. When you get the mic, please don't be a mic hugger. If the only person you ever want to talk about is yourself, then no one wants to listen to you. Don't be the one who everyone needs a puke bag for when she starts speaking. Yeah, I know that horn tooting riles you. It does rile me as well. Hence, I have asked that you tell a story of your accomplishments. Really, because I believe strongly in the conspicuous theory. If a large tree falls in the forest and no one knows what happened, then nothing has happened at all. I'm going to ask that you go through the 5 points very quickly. And the first is, find an opportunity to be helpful, as well as pitch your accomplishments in the same breath. And I did give you an example earlier on. I've also said only take credit for your own accomplishments. Know when to use an I versus a we, because every audience has a discerning listener. Never ever embellish. Be generous with your praise for others. Sometimes it's much easier for your own accomplishments to be brought up whilst being generous with your praise for others. Avoid like a plague the urge to be casual about your accomplishments. Never use words like easy peasy. Oh no, that was nothing. If you aren't amplifying your work, please don't diminish it. Don't be a mic hugger. Don't always tell stories about yourself. Don't be the one that everyone needs a puke bag for when she starts speaking. Yeah, I know horn tooting riles you, as I said, but I believe that it's so important to tell your stories. I hope that you have a great week on purpose. Cheers.